Aries, what is going on? Welcome into the channel. So happy to have you here always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and we are going to look at your energy for the month of December via the tarot, astrology, and any channeled messages that come through. So let's get into it. Welcome in. We are in Sagittarius season. We're in the holiday season. Things can definitely be speeding up this time of year, and I like it. It's a little bit of a bittersweet energy, I'm not going to lie. We have a lot of planets in retrograde. Some of them will be going direct this month. We're also going to see some new planets go into retrograde. So it's a little bit, like I said, bittersweet, right? There's good, there's bad, as always, or things that are working out more in our favor and things are not so much. We'll look at how your energy plays out this month, maybe certain challenges, obstacles, limitations that you might be coming into. I like to start off all my readings with an energy cleansing, just to set the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleanse out any of those places where we might be feeling blocked or limited. It's also a really good time to set your own intention, especially if you've come in with something on your heart, Aries, that you would like Spirit to deliver messages to you around, that you want a little clarity around, etc. Definitely give that over. Be open to receive. Spirit is speaking to us all the time in all different kinds of ways. I also do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing wellness services, and readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed, or if you are just looking for more of that rebalancing of self, your mind, body, soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. When we are aligned in self, when we're grounded in self, that's really where we're manifesting our happiest, our best life. And I would love to help support that in whatever way possible, Aries. Definitely hit me up. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, with that, Aries, let's get into it. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so that we may see and understand the messages clearly and help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit guides, guardian angels, Mama love, Mama love. We all need a little more love. Right? All right, let's get into it, Aries. So it's kind of a quiet month astrologically. I mean, there's definitely things happening. What I love about Sagittarian energy is it's so expansive. It's just like, what can get me to the next place, right? Sagittarian energy is all about leveling up. You might be in your head a little bit this month, or maybe you're kind of thinking of the next steps or what's the next thing, right? Like, what's the next goal to be achieved? Beginning of the month, we have a full moon in Gemini. And then Neptune will go direct within that first week. So full moon in Gemini really highlights places that we're seeing duality in what we want or what we're saying we want. You know, sometimes we say we want something without knowing the full picture is what I'm hearing. And there's readjusting that needs to happen is also what I'm hearing for you this month. Yeah, it is. It's about building a little bit more structure and stability. I really like this energy for you because it reminds me of the four corners or the four pillars of strength. So I think thinking is appropriate. I think it's really important for you to think your way through things this month, making sure that you're not making choices built off an immediate reaction. That's a little difficult for fire energy. Simplifying so things are not so triggering. When we have a lot going on, it can be really hard to find that baseline or just like that point of stability or simplicity. And what I'm seeing in your overarching energy this week is like you're putting a lot of energy and effort into like refining something or making something a little bit better. I feel like walking into this month, you were seeing places where there was some disconnect, needed your attention, or I'm even hearing for some of you, it was an issue that you thought was done and over with, and it's resurfacing again. And yes, 100% with this release card, it really shows how in order to kind of get there, certain things need to happen. And I feel like you know this intuitively. This has been a strong energy in the astrology lately. Scorpio season was very watery, and Neptune's in Pisces, in retrograde, that's a lot of water. All that talks about is how things can just essentially trigger our emotions and we lose the rationale, or we lose like that baseline that I was talking about. And I feel like that's exactly where like Spirit is asking you to kind of make some of these adjustments. Something needs to be simplified because it's not really working. And I see you putting effort to try to get everyone to either get along or find some level of harmony within the challenges you might be facing this month. But some things are just not going to work, is essentially what this is saying. And so I feel like you're actually going to be doing a lot of weeding out, a lot of like, I'm not hearing specifically cutting off people. I'm not talking about that, but this is just more like what I really need to be doing. Like, you're valuing your time and you're, in response to that, making decisions accordingly. Some things don't deserve your time. And I feel like it's more of that, Aries, this evaluation between time and energy, who and what you're giving to. It makes a lot of sense. We're in the holiday season, right? It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of everything. I totally can identify with that. You're stressed though, because it's like, okay, so beginning of the month, it looks like you know things are changing, and I feel like this is being highlighted with that full moon in Gemini that we're seeing. Neptune in retrograde also, especially in Pisces, it brings up illusions, right? Like, we might be either buying into a fantasy that's just not there, or a belief that we really hope is going to work itself out in that direction, and it just might not. And I feel like when Neptune goes direct on the 10th, we're going to be able to see what's what, right? Like, what the truth and reality is. And it looks like beginning of the month, you're a little stressed about it, because it looks like something that you thought was going in a certain direction is no longer moving in that way. And primordial in your blocked energy really speaks to how you're taking things at face value, maybe not looking too deep or not wanting to look too deep, again, because I think you have a lot going on. You have a lot of balls in the air, and looking too deep it doesn't feel impossible, but again, it's that time factor. Like, is this really worth my energy? Some things happen to kind of, like I said, push this into motion, something that does feel a little bit chaotic, and something that is stressing you out, something that I think you know you're going to need to address. Again, this is like the theme for you during the month. It's almost like you can't be too naive, is what I'm hearing with this primordial. If someone's like, you might have someone in their energy, or this is a good for example. This is like someone who's actually kind of emotional, but says they're fine, but really they're not. It's that type of thing. And I'm not saying that you have to figure out what everyone's, unintentionally meaning by what they're saying, but there is this level of like, if you know the beast you're dealing with, if you know who and what you're dealing with, then make sure your expectations and your understanding of that person, of that situation, matches accordingly. I'm interested because I feel like you're looking at a problem and you might see only one solution. I'm not sure that that's the solution, because as you move into this more simplistic way of living, it's going to diffuse some of the stressors. That's what it's all about, right? It's so easy, I think, modern day Just especially if you're in a place where there's a lot of abundance, etc. It's easy to, like, gold-plated problems is what I want to say, right? Like, we all have a lot going on, but it's also kind of easier to get bored with our problems, or maybe sometimes create drama where drama doesn't need to be. I'm not saying that you're doing this. I usually don't get this from you. I get this from relationships, people that are surrounding you. And like I said, what might seem really horrible in the beginning of the month, it actually feels like it's diffusing a little bit more. And by the end of the month, we're in, that's kind of just like at the peak of the holiday season, end of the month, where we're with each other, we're celebrating. Things settle down. There's an acceptance is what I'm seeing. Acceptance from you, from someone else, to release, to let something go, maybe to let bygones be bygones. Even though this might be a hard place to come to, I'm seeing like people waving the white flag. So if you are in a fight or an argument, or you just feel like there's a lot of tension with someone and it's really hard to find that balance of like harmony and forgiveness and like let's work together and move forward, it looks like you're seeing that more towards the end of the month. And ironically or not, well, we have the new moon in Sagittarius on the 20th or the 19th, depending on where you're located. Black Moon Lilith also enters into Sagittarius on the 20th, and then we go into Capricorn season on the 21st. So what I'm getting at is Black Moon Lilith can be a little tricky. She can be an energy where we think we're walking away from the toxicity, but we're not, and I want to say this better, because I think this is more about like just making sure whatever this is, whatever this tower moment is, excuse me, that it's not getting swept under the rug, that it's not something that it's like, because I see a tendency towards that, a tendency towards, oh, everything's fine, and therefore things don't get addressed, right? And that can be a little bit dicey, for any of us, right? I think there is an agreement to like let the toxicity just like put it away. We all have primordial instincts. We all have those, the ego, the base, whatever, like wanting to be right, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, if someone is extremely toxic or putting you in harm's way, be really mindful of that. I don't necessarily see that. I see this as like fighting and like seeing things from a different perspective and not knowing how to get back to that baseline of like the reality being okay. Like sometimes, and that's that other point. Excuse me, let me sip some water. My voice is going. That's like the other downside of Neptune being in Pisces, because it can be easy to buy into that. Well, I know that person's doing that, but not having the evidence or whatever, right? So Aries is asking you to leave a little bit of space for the unknown, the places where we might take relationships, people for granted, not assuming that it's this one thing, and that flexibility, being flexible. And flexibility comes through simplification, not being afraid to simplify what you have going on in your life. Because like I said, it's like you're going to be able to see things a little bit clearer. And you know what to do. That's what Spirit's telling you throughout this month. It might be stressful. It might not be the approach you want to take. Maybe you do want it to all be fine. Maybe you don't want to have to talk about it, or you're annoyed with this, or you're over and done with it. It's all valid and legit, right? But at the end of the day, like, it's not going to magically go away. Especially, it's not going to magically go away by us, like, bulldozing or forcing our agenda or, like, sticking our head in the sand. It's something that does need to be dealt with. I'm not sure that it is. It doesn't look like there's an active conversation happening throughout the month. It looks like something happens, and then things are teetering, and then there's a way that you find, you guys find a way, whomever, whatever this is, to wave the white flag. Yeah, 100% to work together. I like that. Good for you, Aries. Being able to overcome something, and I want to point that out too, right? Like, acknowledge the good where it happens. I have a tendency to kind of pick at, like, the things that aren't working. Not everything's going to be perfect. Capricorn energy reminds us that hard work does pay off. Saturn moving direct also reminds us that like we can now see clearly what we need to do. And we need to pay attention to that. We need to honor that and follow suit. All right, I'm gonna actually read out of the book. I'm just gonna pull one. I really like these. Oh, sodium, interesting. I really like the way that they talk. Like, I love the descriptions of the cards is what I should say. It's very poetic. I'm sorry, like I said, I'm losing my voice. I don't want to. Okay, sodium. Thank you. Sodium has a particular fondness for water. That emotional energy, right? In turn, the oceans have welcomed her soft, silvery white accessibility, as she is the very spirit of enterprise, racing within their fluid world, productively finding ways into the lives of so many beings. Sodium is the key holder, the secret means of access to the uncreated path, an active participant opening doors to others' potential. Beautiful. Hers is an evolutionary spirit, highly motivated by an understanding that her work is not an end in itself, but rather an energetic unification of body and soul in everyday life. I love it. Sodium symbolizes trailblazer, spirit, teacher, vibrant, entrepreneurial. So it's really just highlighting those places where you might get it, you might see how things need to look, but whatever you're dealing with might not, right? And that's where you become this alchemist through that energy of sodium, right? Like really finding ways to marry and enliven other people's potential so that you can get to this place of like releasing the unnecessary drama, the unnecessary hubbub that just gets in the way, right? That really just doesn't need to be there at the end of the day. And I think that's part of the rub, because you do have to be that grounding force in this situation, in this dynamic. And you're going to know that. And you're going to see that even if, you know, you try to dip your toe in the water of like pushing back a little bit. You'll see it pretty quickly. Someone's not going to like it. And I'm not saying be a doormat, bend over backwards. Please never hear that. It's not about that. I see this as you like standing in your power, as you being like, hey, this is who I am, and I understand this is how this situation is, or what you think or what you feel, but I'm going to help you understand that maybe there's another way, right? Like maybe we can trailblaze a new path so we're not getting stuck in this toxicity, because that's such a huge lesson in the astrology, in the collective right now, is not letting the bullshit get in the way, right? It's as simple as that. That's really what's mucking up our connection with living life where we're happy, successful, etc. So with that, as my voice trails off, thank you so much for your time, energy, always. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope you found messages that resonated for you here. Thank you so much for your time, energy, always. I super appreciate you, Aries. All the love, all the support to the channel. No, I'm sending it back your way.